of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arsenal and Burnley. And Rye admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. And finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. It was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arsenal and Burnley. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. Well, finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. And it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Aaron and Rye admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. Well, finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf, and it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arsenal and Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. And finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf, and it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arsenal and Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the USPGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. And finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. And it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the USPGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the USPGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. And finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. And it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the USPGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the USPGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. Well, finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. TNT Sports news on Monday. I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. And it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. Well, finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. TNT Sports news on Monday. I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. It was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. And finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. And it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. Well, finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. And it was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Arronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind Tottenham. Hammers in the relegation zone still. Spurs then realistically only needing a draw when they play Chelsea on Tuesday due to their vastly superior goal difference. West Ham need Chelsea to beat Spurs to take the relegation battle to the final day on Sunday. Elsewhere in the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton's bid to qualify for Europe took a hit as they lost 1-0 at Leeds. Everton were beaten at home 3-1 by Sunderland. Brentford and Crystal Palace drew 2-2. Wolves, already relegated, of course, held Fulham 1-1, while Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Arsenal's bid for the title resumes on Monday when they host already relegated Burnley. Arsenal need a victory to move back 5 points clear of Manchester City. City are in action on Tuesday when they go to Bournemouth, hoping to keep the Premier League title race alive. In cricket, England batsman Harry Brook impressed bowling with the ball rather than the batters at Yorkshire, enforced to follow on in their Championship Division 1 game at Headingley. Brook took 3 for 11 as Surrey ended the day trailing Yorkshire by 199 runs with 5 wickets still left. In the Betfred Super League, Bradford Bulls beat Hull FC by 16 points to 14. Well, finally, Tonga prop Tavita Pangai Jr. has joined Hull KR for the rest of the Betfred Super League season. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Monday, I'm Aidan Perkins. We'll start with golf. It was a sensational Sunday for Englishman Aaron Rai, who won the first major title of his career, winning the US PGA Championship by 3 shots. He emerged from the pack to win the title at Aronimink. And Rai admitted afterwards that after a tough year dealing with a neck injury, he said, "It's very surreal, it's been a frustrating season, so being stood here is outside of my wildest imagination." Jon Rahm earned a share of second place as he closed with a 68 at the US PGA, while Rory McIlroy finished in a tie for 7th after shooting a final round 69. In football, West Ham have moved closer to relegation in the Premier League after a 3-1 defeat on Sunday at Newcastle. It means Hammers are still 2 points behind.
Premier League trophy. They need a victory today to do so. For the Gunners, they have a starting 11 of Raya in goal. Back four of Mosquera, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori. Midfield 3 of Erdegaard, Rice and Eze with an attacking. And we will leave that just there because we are underway at the Emirates Stadium. It is Burnley that kick us off in this one. Arsenal hosting Burnley in this huge Premier League clash, and it's huge for one reason. The Premier League title isn't necessarily at stake on the night, but it feels like tonight is a massive night in what will happen in the end. We are underway, like I mentioned, in this one. Arsenal sat top of the Premier League coming into this, which is why it's such a huge game. Of course, 2 points ahead of Manchester City in the build-up as it stands, with it being 0-0. They would go 3 points, but the goal difference super close. Manchester City with the better goal difference. They play midweek against Bournemouth away from home, so some big games coming up over these final weeks. As we now see a ball into the area from Burnley, it's Hannibal Mejbri on the first attack. Saka gets a challenge in, and Burnley in the opening minute have started pretty well. They've gone and won themselves a corner, and you feel like it's probably corners that are the biggest route to success, or set pieces, should you say, for Burnley in this one. As you don't expect them to have much of the ball. It's myself, Kieran Graham, alongside Luke Ashurst to bring you coverage of this one. I'll bring Luke in a moment once this set piece has been taken. Of course, Arsenal coming off the back of a controversial 1-0 victory away at West Ham, a game that I did cover, which had a lot of drama at the end. But Jadon Anthony, he almost holds up the signal to take a quick corner. In the end, it gets rebuffed, and he's going to take it again. Then he goes shot to the front post. Hannibal Mejbri with the back heel off Kai Havertz. Now for another corner. Promising start from Burnley.
Yeah, promising start from Burnley. There was a lot of focus on the build-up into how Arsenal were going to get through this game. It almost feels like they're playing against themselves just as much as they are playing against Burnley, knowing that a win today will put them into a fantastic position going into the final day. Needed to make a good start. It felt like a good start was important. It's Burnley, though, that have got us going underway.
Yeah, Jadon Anthony, ball into the penalty. It falls into the area for Fleming. Strike from distance from Florentino, and it trickles just wide. He wanted another corner. And I tell you what, on a night that's going to be so nervy for Arsenal fans, just because they know what their club are capable of in terms of maybe making a meal of something that should be so simple on paper. That might be a problem. It might be the only problem tonight for Arsenal. They should be so simple on paper, but when it is like that, when it feels like you've got that hand on the title with an easy, or in brackets, an easy game coming up, that could be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to stay switched on throughout this game. They have a job to do. All the expectation is that they go and do it relatively comfortably. It's really weird. I saw figures linked with Arsenal talking about how potentially this could be a great night to take goal difference out of the equation. I don't think you can go into this game thinking like that. I think you've got to go into the game, play for the early goal, make it as comfortable as possible. The last thing you want to do is get to 60, 70 minutes, still 0-0, and all of a sudden getting the crowd, up and nervy. Put Burnley to the sword, yes, but the way that you do that is by playing your football and doing what you need to do. They're coming forward now down the right-hand side.
Yeah, first attack of the game for Arsenal. It's Eze who finds Bukayo Saka on this right-hand side. He plays a nice ball into Havertz. Ødegaard scoops it back for Havertz. Good first touch, but it's well cleared away by Esteve. And Arsenal can get a set piece of their own, and we know how dangerous they are from their corner opportunities. So a very quick start. It's not a corner, it's gone out for a throw-in. Actually, in the end, ball in the hands of Mascara, so Burnley will be happy with that decision that it isn't a corner. It's going to be another throw-in as Jadon Anthony gets back with the challenge when they're on a 44 unbeaten home run against newly promoted sides Arsenal, which is a long time. Of course, winning 39 and drawing 5, so they never really usually have too much of a problem against the sides that come up from the Championship. Of course, they only just got the better of some sides at home this season. We now see Mascara plays it across to Declan Rice. Saliba, he's going to go across once again to Gabriel, and we know that Arsenal are just going to want to have a lot of the ball. It happened against West Ham. They had a really quick start away at West Ham. Actually, they had about 10 shots in the opening 20 minutes, missing a few good chances. The drama at the end of that game, was so important to the Premier League title race, wasn't it? Of course, that Callum Wilson goal being ruled out because of a foul on the goalkeeper. A lot of people thought that Callum Wilson, or it was actually Pablo, was actually being fouled himself right before he fouled the goalkeeper. So it was all a dramatic ending.
Yeah, I think that the less that can be said about VAR in the last couple of weeks, the better in this one. We've had a fantastic season in the Premier League, a fantastic season in Scotland as well. Two divisions where we've had the joy of being able to cover all season. And it almost, in Scotland, it felt like it was the wrong outcome. Ended up happening. No disrespect to Celtic, but the way that the season ended was not how anybody, I think, really would have wanted it to end outside of Celtic fans. And this season as well, it feels like VAR once again is going to be a determining factor in terms of the result of the season. And again, that's not what you want to see. Ultimately, if you're an Arsenal fan, you won't care whether you get a helping hand from VAR or not, as long as you lift the title. And I've said that all season when it comes down to their style of play and it comes down to the way they win. As long as they come away with the title, do you really care as an Arsenal fan? No, you don't. But I think from a neutral's point of view, it doesn't quite sit right.
Yeah, this is ball down the line from Havertz that's overhit and goes behind for a goal kick. Well, I guess for Arsenal, it's going to be that little more sweeter, isn't it, if they get this? Because it did feel like they were wrote off about a month ago, weren't they? With that poor form that they were on, it just felt like there's no way that Arsenal actually get this job done. As we see a picture of Gyökeres on the bench, Lewis Skelly as well on there, which is a surprise because he's been unbelievable in midfield as of late as Lewis Skelly. But I think the reason he is on the bench today, and I think this would be fair to say, is they know they're at home to Burnley. So they can have Ødegaard and Eberechi Eze. They need goals. They have to win this game. It's as simple as that. Arsenal need to win this game of football. If they don't, wow. Like some have described it as it would be one of the biggest upsets in Premier League history if Arsenal weren't to win today.
Yeah, I think the decision not to start Lewis Skelly was the correct decision this evening from Mikel Arteta. Whether it was the correct decision to not start Gyökeres ahead of Havertz is yet to be seen. I don't really have a strong opinion either way about who starts up front for Arsenal. But in terms of in centre midfield, I think that is the correct decision. Both Eze and Ødegaard are brilliant on the ball and are great progressors of the ball when they're dribbling. But unlike Lewis Skelly, what they're even better at is picking a pass, opening up the lines with a pass and really splitting defences. Lewis Skelly hasn't really got that in the locker. He's one of those who is neat and tidy on the ball, but his way of moving the ball forward is carrying it, as similar to Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice is going to be asked to sit deeper, and he will carry it from deep because, that initial press from Burnley, you will be able to beat through dribbling the ball, but I certainly think the higher up you go, the higher up the field you go, the less likely you are to be able to run around the Burnley back four and deep sitting midfielders. So ultimately, I think Arteta has got it right, but only time will tell. If Burnley, as you said, do somehow create one of the shocks, the biggest shocks in Premier League history, then all of a sudden those questions will be asked of Mikel Arteta. Why didn't Victor Gyökeres start? Why didn't Miles Lewis-Skelly start? Why did Trossard start on the left ahead of Madueke? All those sorts of questions. So ultimately, the players on the field at the moment have got to do the job for Mikel Arteta to prove what we all think is the right decision.
Yeah, we're 8 minutes into this game. Still 0-0 between the two sides. Pretty slow start. It was a really good start, opening 2.5 minutes from Burnley, who'd won themselves a couple of corners. We now see Arsenal on the attack. Good footing from Kyle Walker, who I'm sure will have received a few messages, won't he, in this last week. Kyle Walker, probably a lot from his former teammates at Manchester City. Might have even had a conversation with his former boss, Pep Guardiola, as well. I know he joked about it in an interview with Kyle Walker, and he said he'll do what he can because, of course, he would rather see Manchester City, his former side, who spent a lot of time with, win the Premier League than Arsenal. As you see Jadon Anthony applying a bit of pressure on Saliba. Now it's going to be Gabriel. Hannibal Mabry just almost a half-hearted light jog towards him. Eze turns back towards Declan Rice. And it's almost a little bit like Arsenal just trying to suss out this Burnley side at the moment. Ball down the left for Eberechi Eze, who's taken down by Loum Shauna. And he can't have too many complaints. It's a silly challenge as well, because Eze he's running backwards, he's almost running out of play. And now you've given a free kick and a good crossing position where Arsenal are dangerous.
Yeah, he almost just panics there, doesn't he? Because I think he's caught out of position, caught too narrow. In the end, feels like he has to make the challenge there. Trauner. It's interesting the way that Burnley have gone about this. I'm not suggesting they should have gone gung-ho and that they should have really stepped up and pressed, but ultimately they are playing a back four, different to West Ham's back three, which caused Arsenal problems last time out. And there's no press whatsoever. It is just 11 behind the ball and try and soak up as best as possible.
Yeah, Declan Rice hangs it into the box and Weiss gets a punch to it. Not the most convincing. It's still in the area. Then headed away by Florentino. Jadon Anthony can't bring it down. Kyle Walker battling with Calafiori. And Gabriel hits it on the volley from distance. That's going to trickle out for a goal kick. Well, he's scored quite a few in his time at Arsenal, hasn't he, Gabriel? That would have certainly been the best one he's ever scored if he was to catch that sweetly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure there'll be too many more popular goal scorers for Arsenal this evening than Gabriel, if he is able to get a strike past Max Weiss, but wasn't close with that one. It's another example, though, of how dangerous Arsenal can be from set piece. I didn't even think that was one of Declan Rice's best balls in, but what they do so well is when that ball is played in, they make it so difficult for the opposition to get clear.
Yeah, and Hannibal Mejbri finds Shauna, who's almost driving into the penalty area. Big chance for Burnley. Shauna goes for goal, and it's well blocked away by Calafiori. Well, Burnley have had their dangerous moments in this one, haven't they? And Calafiori had to stay touch tight with him the whole way. Tuanzebe battling with Havertz, and it's well brought down by Eze. Sharp turn, and he's done really well in terms of actual controlling it, and a strong challenge in from Zion Fleming. But that was a half chance from Shauna. I think his final touch before the goal, before the shot, should I say, has let him down. There's a bit of pushing and shoving, handbags. No surprise to see Hannibal Mejbri getting involved. It feels like half the time he's only there to get involved in this stuff. I'm not too sure what had gone on there.
Leandro Trossard's got to be yellow carded here, I think, because Fleming's put in a great challenge on Eberechi Eze. It's a firm challenge, but it's a good challenge. Trossard, not a fan of it, just goes over and two-handed shoves Zion Fleming in the chest. Fleming goes down to the deck relatively easily, but that's got to be a yellow card in my eyes. It's completely needless from Leandro Trossard. Great challenge from Zion Fleming. Nothing wrong with it. And then Trossard runs into him and then shoves him over. I don't quite know how he's avoided getting a yellow card there, the Belgian.
Yeah, I don't really know. either. I thought Trossard was excellent against West Ham in the game that I covered. I think I've never always been sold that is Trossard a player or a Premier League title worthy starting level player. That's always been a little bit up in the air for me this season. But I thought he was a real game changer at the weekend. I actually thought Ødegaard changed the game as well when he came on, which was nice and refreshing to see. It was like watching Ødegaard from a couple of seasons back again, and he's been rewarded with a start today. He also has just picked a pass for Saka, who cuts onto his left boot. He goes for goal. It's well blocked away in the end by Esteve, and it goes behind for a first Arsenal corner.
Yeah, good bit of defending there from the Frenchman. But you're absolutely right about that game against West Ham. Ødegaard looked back to his best, and he started off in a similar vein this evening. I've been so frustrated at times this season watching Martin Ødegaard pass from left to right to left to right and almost just want to keep the ball moving from side to side, never looking forward. Well, against West Ham, I thought he was the exact opposite of that. He was dynamic, he was progressive, he really wanted to bring his side forward. Already he's doing similar this evening, and now Arsenal have got a chance from the corner.
Yeah, corner coming up for Saka. He goes short towards Trossard. It's not often you see Arsenal go short. Let's see what they can conjure up. It's Ødegaard who picks the pass back to Trossard, who's in acres of space. He looks for a cutback for Havertz with a touch. He's put it wide. In the end, it's a poor effort from Kai Havertz. I was quite shocked to see that they were going short with it, but they worked it brilliantly back to the right-hand side, and Havertz, his touch almost bobbled a little bit in front of him, so he hit it with almost a laced half volley. And in the end, he puts it wide.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate short corners. I'll put it bluntly. I hate short corners, and I've always had Arsenal down as a side who didn't do them. They worked it brilliantly against Newcastle, and since then they've kind of kept using that as a skill. I think it perfectly sums up how poor the league is this season. The fact that short corners have actually become a decent route for teams that they're not hard to defend, and yet somehow teams like Arsenal seem to create chances from them constantly. And here they come again on the attack down the left.
And here's Trossard, cuts onto his right. What a run this is. He then goes for goal. He strikes the post and then cleared away by Kyle Walker. Well, fantastic play from Leandro Trossard, and Arsenal are starting to find their rhythm in this one at the Emirates, starting to cause problems from distance. He struck it and it cannons off the post.
Yeah, really good effort from Leandro Trossard, but it's so poor from Burnley. It really is. That midfield too of Ogachukwu and Florentino Luis just don't seem to be able to deal with the Arsenal midfield at the moment. Just as I say that, the Portuguese midfielder does well to take the ball away from Bukayo Saka, and then Ogachukwu fouled by the Arsenal number 7. Trossard picks the ball up on the left-hand side, far too easily away from Kyle Walker, and then all of a sudden he's just afforded 5 yards of space in any direction, really. And a player of Leandro Trossard's quality is not going to leave you unpunished. On that occasion, it's so unfortunate that he's not able to find the back of the net, but straight away, geez up the Arsenal fans behind the goal. 15.5 minutes in. I mentioned earlier on about Arsenal wanting the fast start and wanting to make early strides in this game. It's exactly what they've done. They've been really impressive so far. They've been given a helping hand by Burnley, it has to be said so far in this one. And they've been given another one again because Kyle Walker, weak against Trossard. Ball towards the edge of the box, so is poor. Not dealt with though by Burnley.
Yeah, and as it tries to hook it towards the back post, it's overhit and out of play for a goal kick. Well, the repercussions if Arsenal were just to be held to a 0-0 or a 1-1, etc., a draw today, would mean they're only 3 points clear of Manchester City. City would have the game in hand, which of course is the game away at Bournemouth midweek. City would have a +1 better goal difference. So City then went and beat Bournemouth midweek. Arsenal dropped points today. Well, it's all for City. You would think City at home to Aston Villa would get the job done, which means City win the league. That's how important tonight actually is. The last game of the season for Arsenal isn't easy. It's away at Crystal Palace, who, yes, have looked poor at times, but a final game of the season at Selhurst Park, I don't think it's an ideal fixture, really, is it?
No, it probably isn't, if you ignore the fact that Palace have got that European final merely 3 days later. I'll break off. Here comes Hannibal.
And here's Mesri into the penalty area. He whips it into the back post. Lucas Perez keeps it alive, but he's back heel. He's poor. That's a poor pass from Saka. And what a turn that is from Jadon Anthony to get away from Saka into the area. Ball across the face. A goal blocked by Declan Rice. A tame cross with his weaker left foot. Well, what a touch it was. Esteve with some good defending to win the ball back. And now Burnley having a decent moment. They've had a few, haven't they, Burnley, so far? Of course, they're battling not to finish bottom of the league. Of course, only a couple of points above Wolverhampton Wanderers, which seems quite shocking that there's a world in where Wolves don't finish bottom of the Premier League this season. But, of course, it would take something for that not to happen. As we see Esteve in towards Tuanzebe. He looks for a hooked ball forwards towards Sharuna. What a ball it was as well. Sharuna does well to keep it in play. Hannibal hasn't been given a push in the back. Nothing given. It looked like he was trying to buy that one. Eze then goes down. Advantage given. Zion Fleming battling with Gabriel. And Fleming's just trying to be a bit of a nuisance to these Arsenal players, which he definitely has been so far. Free kick Arsenal.
Yeah, and it's really, really important that Arsenal don't get dragged into the games played by Zion Fleming. I think they started brilliantly 18 minutes in. Outside of getting that early goal, they've been pretty perfect, I would say, Arsenal. The last thing you need is to start getting frustrated and then rushed and sort of, tetchy. I think they've managed the game perfectly. I think if you're Mikel Arteta, you're on the sideline, you're telling certain players to calm it down. See, David Raya's been probably the best goalkeeper in the league this season, but there are times where I watch him and I don't think he does Arsenal a massive favour. Every time he gets the ball, it's how can I play as quickly as possible? How can I get my team forward? Sometimes you've just got to relax when you're in those positions. That's exactly what happened there. He put the ball down, he was sprinting forward. Can I play the free kick quickly? There's no need to play it quickly. You've not even played 20 minutes yet. You've got plenty of time. There's no rush. You've already hit the post.
Yes, we now see Odegaard. Lovely 1-2 with Eze. Some back heels and skills in there. Saka on the right hand side of the area. He looks towards the back post. It's overhit in the end. Trossard not steaming in. That's where you want your left winger, isn't it? Running in towards that back post. He was still stood on the edge of the box. Was Trossard, so he was nowhere near it. 19 minutes on the clock. Didn't expect to be saying this when you see Arsenal against Burnley. It's had quite a high tempo to this. It's been a good watch.
Yeah, it has been a good watch. Arsenal have been patient but also forward thinking and dynamic, which is good to see. I will say, if I was Mikel Arteta watching that, I'd be thinking, can Kai Havertz do better? Yes, Trossard should be arriving at the back post. I get that. But I think the reason why it looks like Trossard should be at the back post is because Havertz as a striker doesn't play as if he's, trying to create the chance in it or get on the end of a chance. He's always playing as if he's trying to create a chance. So he's gone short there as if he's going to get the ball to feet from Saka. Whereas actually Saka was always going to try and float that in there. Gyökeres, maybe does he get into a better position? I don't know. But either way, it works pretty well. It works fine for Arsenal. It's one of those where you get the ball back and you move on, as Mascara's just been fouled there by Jadon Anthony.
Yeah, and Jadon Anthony with a bit of a flailing elbow towards him. I don't think there's too much in it to warrant him to be cautioned, but we now see Martin Odegaard turns away from his man. He's going to look to the left-hand side potentially. No, he's going to stay with the ball himself, and then he does go to the left. 20.5 minutes on the clock. Arsenal 0, Burnley 0. It's been a good start to this one. Arsenal crashing the post. Burnley had a couple set pieces in the opening 2 minutes. Strong challenge from Perez into the back of Bukayo Saka. Then it's going to be Mosquera all the way back towards Saliba. Now it's going to be Gabriel, who does have options to the right if he can find them. Declan Rice looks for a hooked ball over the top towards Saka. It's inviting too much towards Perez. His clearance is a poor one though. Calafiori finds Odegaard, stabs the ball in behind for Saka. Can he keep it in play? Yes, he can, but it's good defending for the first time asking from Esteve, who stays with Calafiori, who stood at right wing at the moment, is the left back. Odegaard checks away onto his left boot. Has an option in Gabriel, who basically just dropped in as the left back for a moment when Calafiori almost went on for a wander. Now it's going to be back with Martin Odegaard. He looks for that hooked ball in behind again, and it's cleared away by Esteve. They've looked for that pass quite a few times, Arsenal.
Yeah, they have. I think it's not a bad option because as deep as Burnley is sitting as a team, they're just trying to congest the pitch. So the back four isn't actually as deep as you'd maybe expect in that position. So there is a space to run in behind if they get it right. But so far, you'd say Esteve and Tuanzebe have read it pretty well. But again, I don't think it's a bad avenue for Arsenal. I really don't. And I like that they are trying that sort of expansive pass.
There's Vinicius Ødegaard, who finds Declan Rice. He's got options in the middle for Ødegaard, looks to flick it round the corner. He can't find his man. Florentino's pass towards Pires is terrible, and it gives it straight to Bukayo Saka, who's dancing into the penalty area. He's still going. He lays it off for Havertz on the edge of the right-hand side. He's still in possession. Wants the overlap from Mosquera. Uses it as a decoy. He finds Ødegaard himself. Looks for a return pass towards Havertz, who completely misjudges the weight of the pass. It goes behind for a goal kick. Some good trickery. Ødegaard's looked pretty good in this opening 22.5 minutes. Just yet to create that proper opportunity in the penalty area so far are Arsenal. And with that, 22.5 minutes on the clock, we've reached the halfway stage of this first half. It's Arsenal 0, Burnley 0, and it'll be Luke to take you through to half time.
Cheers, Kieran. I don't know how I feel about that chance for Arsenal. I said I didn't have a strong opinion about Havertz starting over Gyökeres. I just think Arsenal benefit in this game from having that sort of striker who's trying to create chances for themselves rather than wanting the ball to feet all the time or wanting to come short. I think maybe can Gyökeres offer a little bit more inside the penalty area? We won't know unless we see the Swedish international on the pitch. But either way, play will continue now as Arsenal have the ball back over on the far side. Calafiori down the line looking for Trossard. He's one-on-one with Kyle Walker. Struggles so far, the former England international, as Trossard will swing a right-footed ball in. Headed away well by Axel Tuanzebe. Now here it is with Martin Ødegaard. His side for Mosquera. Back to Ødegaard once more. Left-footed ball towards the edge of the box, looking towards Havertz. Intercepted well by Esteve. And then the challenge comes in from Hannibal. And here's Zian Fleming driving forward, trying to feed the pass, looking towards Trauner. Not a great attempted ball, it has to be said. Easily intercepted by the Arsenal backline. Here's Ricardo Calafiori now, who is probably the only Arsenal player who I'd say hasn't actually stuck to his position, which maybe have been instructions from Mikel Arteta. But Calafiori seems to be popping up anywhere that isn't left back at the moment, it has to be said. As Declan Rice now feeds Ødegaard 30 yards away from goal, down the near side for Mosquera. Mosquera back inside for Ødegaard, held up well by Ugochukwu. Here's Gabriel. Hannibal straight away putting pressure on the Brazilian, and that is so daft from Hannibal. Comes charging into Gabriel, kicks through the back of the centre half, and it's an easy free kick to give if you're Paul Tierney, and I've got no idea why the Tunisian's done that.
Yeah, and I'm not shocked either. Like I said, I think sometimes Hannibal, he just gets caught up, and he enjoys this side of the game too much. I never mind that about a footballer.
That's a yellow card, isn't it?
I think at least have something about you. Does Hannibal have that much about him when he's in possession in terms of actual footballing quality? I'm not too sure. But yeah, he's been involved in this a couple of times. Declan Rice, I think, just letting him know what he thinks of that. Maybe frustration because he's not seen a lot of the ball.
I honestly think that's a yellow card. He knows exactly what he's doing there. He's just gone, do you know what? I'm going to kick through the back of my man here after the ball's been played, because he makes the challenge after the ball's been played. I think that's so daft from Hannibal. I think Paul Tierney should have carded the Tunisian just to lay down the marker and say, I'm not letting that stand and just letting players get kicked off the ball left, right and centre. But either way, Arsenal back underway after the short free kick. Here's Trossard left hand side again, one-on-one with Kyle Walker. This time Walker stands him up well, but his challenge only finds its way to Declan Rice. Here's Martin Ødegaard under pressure from Jadon Anthony, just outside the centre circle. Now Rice is forced all the way back to David Raya. I say all the way back because he's just inside the Arsenal half himself. Long lofted ball forward, feeds Gabriel, almost cleared away by Florentino Luis, but Arsenal gather it back in midfield. Lovely one-touch passing from the Gunners now on the edge of the penalty area. Here's Eze onto the near side of the box for Saka. Once on his left boot, he's held up well. Here's Saliba now, though, keeping the ball moving for the side in red and white. Declan Rice under a bit of pressure from Hannibal, played a lovely chip ball to Saka. What an interception that was from Lucas Pires. Crucial touch from the Brazilian, and now here come Burnley on the counter-attack. Fleming does well to find Trauner. Hannibal's made a run at the back post, and he'll be found by Trauner. Hannibal inside the box. Oh, terrible on his left boot. Huge opportunity for Burnley on the counter-attack, and in the end I think Declan Rice does just enough to distract the former Manchester United man, but a big opportunity down one end for Arsenal, almost leading to a great chance for Burnley down the other.
And I think Hannibal's just proved the point that I said 2 minutes ago, where I'm saying I'm not sure if he's got much about him in terms of actual quality when he has the ball. He's just shown no composure it's not a bad ball, I don't think, from Shauna at all. To actually find him, it has to be that type of pass. So I don't mind that from Shauna. I think this Ian Fleming's had a good opening 27 minutes when he's needed to be called on. I think he's one of the only Burnley players who's probably had a decent season as well overall. Got quite a few goals to his name. But what a chance. He could have even, like I said, you've just got to show more composure. He could have taken time a little bit more, could have worked it onto his right foot. And he just completely snatched at it. Arsenal have been given a huge let off there.
Yeah, they certainly have done. Just as we say that, Hannibal wins the ball back once again, and this time it's with Jay Nancy down the left-hand side. Ball down the line looking towards Hannibal, one-on-one with Gabriel. He's fouled the Brazilian once again going through the back of the Arsenal number 6, and an easy decision to make if you're Paul Tierney. Just want to say quickly, Hannibal is now going to pick up the first yellow card of the evening. It probably should have come about a minute and a half ago, but at least it has now finally come for the former Manchester United and Sevilla man. We'll just say, by the way, going back to it, credit where credit's due to Lucas Pires down the other end, because Declan Rice played a wonderful ball in behind, looking towards Bukayo Saka, but intercepted brilliantly by the Brazilian. That's how the counter-attack came about. And, well, had he not got a touch on the ball to get the ball away, I'm almost certain that would have been Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. But as it stands, 28 minutes gone, independent of Tube Studio-based commentary, it is still the league leaders 0, already relegated Burnley 0. You'd say a half-decent chance for both sides now at this stage of the game. But Arsenal, by far the more dominant of the two sides, I think it's fair to say, as it would be expected of the team top of the table and hunting their first Premier League title in 22 years. There's Christian Mosquera now on the ball for the home side. We'll just move it into Declan Rice just inside the centre circle in Burnley territory. Rice rolls his foot on the ball before eventually feeding Calafiori. Calafiori's played a decent ball in behind for Havertz, who will just about keep it in. Chip ball towards the penalty spot, headed away by Ogachuk, who gathered by Rice, edge of the penalty area. Calafiori will then net towards Eze. Eze with a strike on the volley from distance. It was a spectacular effort, but one that was easily saved in the end by the German Max Weiss in between the sticks for Burnley. But it's another shot on target for Arsenal. Again, it's another chance that they move well and also recycle well on the edge of the box.
Yeah, exactly. Eze has been heavily involved, so has Ødegaard. They've almost started with two attacking midfielders, one on the right, one on the left, and that's better from Rice. Here come Arsenal.
Yeah, here comes Ødegaard now, edge of the penalty area, lays it off to Bukayo Saka, who's away from Pires. Not once, but trying to get away from him twice. Anthony's back there supporting the Brazilian. Saka with the ball. Oh, it's off the crossbar. Catches out Max Weiss and off the crossbar, but away, at least for the moment, by Burnley through Kyle Walker. Ball forward towards Hannibal. He's been out-muscled there by Gabriel, and still the chances arise for Arsenal. Here's Declan Rice, who runs to the far side for Calafiori. Takes his time on it before moving it back to Gabriel once again. Huge opportunity for us. I'll say huge opportunity. It's come from nothing, really. But it's the second time they've hit the woodwork. This time the crossbar. And Bukayo Saka certainly wasn't going for goal, but he didn't come far away.
No, exactly that. Max Weiss, I'm not too sure. He made his, because Premier League first start last game. Apparently had an okay game, but one of those completely almost caught him out as Havertz is driving forwards. His shot out of nowhere is blocked away by Esteban out for an Arsenal corner.
Yeah, let's see a replay of this chance now for Bukayo Saka. Gets away from Pires initially. He's then held up well as he cuts back by the Brazilian and by Jade Nancy.
I actually don't think it hits the bar. I think it's actually Weiss that maybe punches the bar, but it actually just drops.
No, he just, you're absolutely right. He just comes really close to finding the back of the net. I mean, it's not obviously not what Bukayo Saka was going for. He wasn't going for goal, but he didn't come far away at all. Weiss not convincing as that ball was chipped in towards the back post. He'll have to be a bit more convincing though now as Arsenal get set for this corner to be swung in by Bukayo Saka. I say swung in, he's going to play it short again. Here's Leandro Trossard along the byline. We'll now play it to the edge of the box for Ødegaard. Ødegaard surrounded by three in what I'm going to say is aqua blue this evening for Burnley. Here's Trossard into Saka, edge of the box. Feeds Mosquera, brought down by Fleming. Referee says no, play will continue as Burnley try and get it cleared. Chauner tries to launch it long down the near side. It's a poor clearance and straight out of play for a throw-in. Hannibal certain that should have been a yellow card for Christian Mosquera for a dive. It'll be interesting to see from the replay whether there was any contact, but put it this way, Mosquera very quickly back to his feet, and I think it's actually been given as a Burnley throw on the near side, which is interesting. Paul Tierney's got the ref cam on this evening. Many a thing have been implemented to the Premier League in the last couple of years, particularly involving referees, which I haven't been a huge fan of. Ref cam I have quite enjoyed this season. Kieran, it's given us a pretty interesting view of how referees go about managing games this season, and actually we'll probably quite look forward to seeing Paul Tierney's view of this game so far.
Yeah, I mean, one of us has so. I think maybe you more look forward to that stuff than me. Nah, I'm just more focused on what we see live. I really am about just the football in general. It's always nice that you get the added things. I can't say I care whether we have it or not. It's just a nice thing to say, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, Burnley, I've been quietly impressed with their 33 minutes. I really have. I wouldn't have been shocked if someone said to me, oh, by 33 minutes it might be 2-0 Arsenal before kick-off, just because of how obvious maybe that sounded. But yeah, Burnley, I think what is impressing me is they look dangerous going forwards as well, Burnley, which is refreshing to see. They're trying to get forwards when they have the ball. Kyle Walker here, his diagonal ball isn't a great one, headed straight into the hands of David Raya. But it's weirdly felt like there's something there for Burnley at the moment, which will be really encouraging for their fans. And I think Man City fans will be caring more than even Burnley fans themselves today.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we can't hear the crowd with it being independent off-tube studio-based commentary, but it'll be interesting to see at half-time what the crowd has been like throughout this first half. I don't think there's been a reason for them to be frustrated, but I do think the longer this game goes on, the harder it will be for Arsenal to get the support of the crowd if they're not able to make inroads. Having said that, they're making inroads now. Sak with the back heel looking towards Havertz. This time he does try and run in behind to make the chance himself, and in the end the pass ends up behind him. But Arsenal win it back quickly. Here's Gabriel deep inside Burnley territory. To the left-hand side of the penalty area, plays a lovely ball in behind for Havertz. Havertz, square ball. Saka, was he fouled? Referee says no. In the end, the shot is saved by Weiss. Questions will be asked of VAR. They'll have a look. Ødegaard waves to the sidelines. He says absolutely it's a penalty. They want the ball putting out Arsenal. I don't think Burnley will. I don't think there's a need to. They're absolutely furious, those gunners on the field. To me, it looked like one of those where maybe the man gets just in front of the defender and is potentially caught from behind. I'd like to see a replay of it. Arsenal still absolutely furious. The ball hasn't been put out of play, but Burnley will continue coming forward. Here's Ogachukwu left-hand side. Pires tries to play it forward. It's been put out of play for a throw-in, and now the crowding of Paul Tierney will begin. Saka can't believe it. This will be the angle to show it. No, it's not a penalty. He gets a touch on the ball, Lucas Pires. He gets goal side of him, Bukayo Saka. It's poor defending initially, but I think Pires gets just enough of the ball there for that not to be a foul.
I don't think Pires touches the ball initially. Or does he?
I think he gets a toe. VAR are having a look.
We've seen it back in. We're going to see a better replay of it. I think it's Saka's boot that touches the ball. I really do.
Is that a penalty, Kieran? Is that a penalty?
No, I'm not too sure it is. I actually think Saka kicks the leg off Pires, but I don't think Pires gets the ball. The referee has made it clear, no penalty, good decision.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a case of, oh, what is Mikel Arteta doing? He's shocked. I mean, go and watch it yourself for the 50th time. Well, I think it's a case of, I don't think Pires has got a touch on the ball, whereas you think he does. I think it's Saka's boot that touches it. I think it comes off the toe of his pink boot. But I think it's not a penalty because Saka, as he winds up the shot, kicks the foot of Pires.
Ultimately, I think we've come to the conclusion that there just isn't enough evidence to say that that is a penalty over it not being a penalty. And I've already made my feelings clear on VAR over the last couple of weeks this evening, but I think on this occasion they've made the right decision. Arsenal have got to get rid of that frustration and got to come forward straight away and cause some problems. That's exactly what they're doing. Calafiori drives down the Arsenal left. Feeds Leandro Trossard again left one-on-one with Walker. Great ball in behind. Calafiori cuts in his right boot. Ødegaard with the strike wide of the post. He's furious with himself. He knows he's got to do better there, Martin Ødegaard. Brilliant move from Arsenal down the far side. Trossard and Calafiori absolutely superb. And it's a brilliant cutback to the Norwegian midfielder who really, I think, ought to do better in that position.
Yeah, he probably does. It's a really nice cutback and he goes for goal. It's taken the deflection behind for a corner, obviously, which makes it maybe a little bit more lenient on him because it probably was travelling into the far corner. So maybe he couldn't have done anything else about it. But another corner coming up. And the chances are starting to heat up for the Gunners.
Yeah, there are plenty of bodies at the back post I can see. Calafiori, Mosquera and Trossard all lining up with just Kyle Walker there trying to protect against them. Saka will indeed swing this one in towards the penalty area. And it's into the back of the net. And Arsenal have the lead they were looking for. And it's Kai Havertz with it. The German forward goes off celebrating in front of the Arsenal fans. Saka celebrates with them as well. Brilliant corner from the England international. Dreadful from Burnley. They let one of the tallest players on the pitch free inside the penalty area, but is that the goal that secures the Premier League title for Arsenal? Not mathematically, but it certainly could be huge in this year's title race.
Huge goal, and I mean, penny for everybody who said who would have thought that it might have been a corner goal, because there might be a couple of millionaires out there in the sense that. Are we surprised? It's a corner. Arsenal causing the problems. The defending and the goalkeeping from Burnley here is atrocious, which is such a letdown because of how good they've been at the back so far. But the goalkeeper's just in no man's land. What on earth is he doing? Esteve's been crowded by 3 Arsenal players. Nobody's really marking anyone from Burnley. I mean, it is dreadful from Mike Jackson's side. It really is. I don't know what the goalkeeper's doing. He doesn't look commanding or strong enough in there. And Arsenal score from the corner. It is 1-0 to the Gunners.
It's dreadful, isn't it, from Burnley? I mean, like, credit where credit's due to Arsenal. It's a fantastic ball in from Bukayo Saka, right in the danger zone, and it's met brilliantly by Kai Havertz. But they've scored some great goals this season, Arsenal. Some great goals from set pieces. That is not one of them. That was handed to them on a platter by Burnley. It really was. They were made to work by West Ham last week. And they certainly haven't been made to work for that goal this evening. They have the goal that they wanted. Maybe not as early as they would have liked, but they've got a goal within the first half. Mikel Arteta and Nicolas Jova running off in celebration. Absolutely delighted, and rightly so. There's be a few who might think that's a little bit over the top for a first half goal against Burnley, but I think in situations like that you've got to enjoy every moment of it, and rightly so. Burnley now are going to look for a response. They're going to come forward over on the far side with Laum Trauner, found by Hannibal Magebury. Here is Trauner driving in towards the box, tries to square it towards Jayden Anthony. I tell you what, that's not great from Declan Rice. Puts it out of play for a corner, refusing to use his left boot, and 5 minutes to go in the first half. Burnley have got a chance from the set piece to try and get themselves a quick equaliser.
Yeah, they do. Big opportunity for Burnley now to try and instantly respond and get an equaliser. Of course, if Arsenal are to win this game and City were to go and lose to Bournemouth, that is it done. Of course, City have to go and win at Bournemouth, so Arsenal can win the title before playing the next game, but they can't win it tonight. Let's see if Burnley can get a response. 39.5 minutes on the clock, 1-0.
Yeah, corner to be swinging over on the far side by Jayden Anthony. He has his right arm raised. There'll be a right-footed in-swinger from right-footed outswing, I should say, from the far side. It's towards the back post. It's easily dealt with by Arsenal. This ball ends up straight in the hands of David Raya, and here they come now on the counter-attack. Rice attempts a ball over the top, looking towards Saka. He'll give chase here up against Florentino Luis, but he reads it well. The Portuguese midfielder will play it back to his goalkeeper, Max Weiss, who will turn away from Trossard well and feed Twanzebe over on the far side. In fact, a draw wouldn't even be good enough for City midweek. No. They have to win against Bournemouth and hope, as things stand, that Arsenal drop points on the final day. At the moment, it looks like everything is going the way of the Gunners. Of course, that game tomorrow between Manchester City and Arsenal will be available on this service, as will the game between Tottenham and Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. See, Burnley already relegated, but a reminder that if I can't believe it! Oh, the offside flag's gone up. Out of nowhere, the ball finds its way to Jayden Anthony. Everybody seemingly stopped. Kai Havertz can't believe it. I don't think the goal has been given. I mean, everybody seemed to just stop on the field here. Has Jayden Anthony maybe fouled Eberechi Eze? I mean, it's soft. I can't believe what's happened there. I think the referee has given a foul. All of a sudden, everybody just stopped and Jayden Anthony tapped the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah,
just a record clearance from Burnley.
Yeah, it's not even that much of a foul either, is it, from Jayden Anthony? It really isn't. But yeah, Arsenal, if that isn't just a warning sign to just stay focused in this game, then I'm not sure what is. As Arsenal are back in possession, but yeah, chaotic moment.
Yeah, certainly was. go back to what I was saying. The game midweek, well, game tomorrow, I should say, between Chelsea and Tottenham. Huge implications towards the bottom end of the table. As things stand, there are 2 points between Tottenham and West Ham. If Spurs win, mathematically safe tomorrow evening. If they draw, they are not technically mathematically safe, but given the goal difference between the two sides, that they are safe. West Ham have to pray that Spurs lose tomorrow against Chelsea, which is very likely given they've only ever beaten Chelsea once at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League era. Breakoffs, Ødegaard nearly plays Bukayo Saka in behind, but he's overhit the pass and has had to play for a goal kick. There is a chance that it goes down to the final day of the relegation battle. West Ham, though, it does feel like after their defeat to Newcastle yesterday, they are waiting on a miracle to get themselves back outside of the relegation zone. With that assist, by the way, for Bukayo Saka this evening, he moves up to 50 Premier League assists for the Gunners, just the 4 behind Mesut Ozil, who has come into a fair few conversations this week because obviously Bruno Fernandes has gotten his 20th assist of the season, moves level with Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne. Think back to a few years ago, one of the few times that Arsenal were challenging for the title before Mikel Arteta took charge. Mesut Ozil was on track to absolutely hammer that record, currently at the time held by Thierry Henry, but Olivier Giroud forgot how to score a goal, I believe, that season, and left Ozil, I think, stranded on 16 for about 3 months, and ultimately the record wasn't to be broken. Saka nowhere near that record this season, but the fact he's made it to 50 Premier League assists already in his career is mightily impressive. He's a fair way off the likes of Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne, Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp, I should say, sorry, for Arsenal. As here is Bukayo Saka now for the Gunners. Oh, that's almost a beauty. Left-footed strike from the edge of the penalty area, just wide of the post. That, when he hit it, looked for all the world that was arcing towards the far corner. Just not quite enough bend on it. But it had Max Weiss scrambling. And that is not a bad effort at all from the Arsenal number 7.
No, it's not at all. And like you said, he's scrambling. He's the goalkeeper. He just cuts inside. He looks to dart it into that far side netting from distance. It's, I won't say trademark Bukayo Saka, but a trademark move that he likes to try. In that sense, and so close. You think 2-0 just makes it too much, doesn't it, for Burnley in this game? Absolutely, and Arsenal, they need that second goal.
Yeah, I think Arsenal will look to try and get that second goal. I think both teams will, I say both teams, I think Arsenal will certainly be happy if they go in at half-time 1-0 up, because they can come out the second half with a bit of pace, try and put Burnley to the sword, get 1 or 2 early goals in the second half, and really look to be comfortable in the second 45. They're in fact looking to try and get their second goal now as Havertz moves the ball forward. Saka trying to turn it around the corner, looking for Ødegaard, appeals for a handball. Paul Tierney says no. Esteve will look to try and move forward. He's given the ball away to Leandro Trossard. VAR will, of course, have a double check to see if the referee's missed anything. As Calafiori now feeds Ødegaard. Loose touch allows Jaden Anthony to win the ball back in the middle. And now a chance for Lucas Perez to drive forward. Here is the Brazilian now, who's inside for Ugachukwu, as the fourth official's board has just been held up. How much added on time will there be at the end of this first half? There'll be 2 minutes added on at the end of this first 45. Let's see a replay now. Did it hit Axel Twanzebe's hand? Yeah, it brushes the DRC International's hand, but it's so close to him and so faint of a touch that I think if we're giving penalties for that all of a sudden, we may as well merge with the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah, it would have been harsh, wouldn't it, if that was a penalty. Twanzebe lunges one way, his head's looking the complete other direction. The ball bounces off his hand, and I say bounce off it, it just skims off the knuckle, doesn't it? Yeah, would have been a harsh penalty.
Certainly would have been. We're a minute through, the 2 added on at the end of this first half. Independent off-tube studio-based commentary. It is Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. That Kai Havertz header from the Bukayo Saka corner, currently the difference between the two sides. Burnley have held their own for, I'd say, a decent portion of this first half, although there have been on a few occasions where they have looked like a team 19th in the table, having won once in I think it's the last 24, which obviously is the form of one of the worst teams in the division. Very intrigued to see what Burnley do next season. Obviously, Scott Parker departing before the end of this campaign, heavily linked with Steven Gerrard, who has made it very clear he would not be opposed to joining the Clarets. Whether that is the best option for the Lancashire side or not, we will have to wait and see. Whether that's the option they go for, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure Mike Jackson will certainly be throwing his hat in the ring. They've looked okay under his tenure, it has to be said so far, but nothing groundbreaking. As Jaden Nancy now skips away from a couple in red, moves it over onto the far side for Walker. Last attack of the first half is going to come the way of Burnley. It's Trauner, one-on-one with Calafiore, wanting to create the space. Trossard now over in support. Back to Kyle Walker, and they don't get the ball in quickly enough because that will be the half-time whistle. Good first half for Arsenal. Created chances, hit the post through Leandro Trossard, but it's Kai Havertz who has the Gunners ahead. A lovely header from a delicious Bukayo Saka corner. And a half-time in the Emirates, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0.
Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes. Had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina. But Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard. And then before half-time, corner whipped in. And there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes. Had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina. But Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard. And then before half-time, corner whipped in. And there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes. Had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina. But Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard. And then before half-time, corner whipped in. And there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes. Had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina. But Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard. And then before half-time, corner whipped in. And there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes. Had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina. But Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard. And then before half-time, corner whipped in. And there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes. Had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina. But Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard. And then before half-time, corner whipped in. And there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance for Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium, it's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal, had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner whipped in, and there was the head of Kai Havertz. It was a mess at the back from the goalkeeper and the defenders of Burnley going into the break at the Emirates 1-0. Half-time at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, thanks to a header from Kai Havertz. Burnley weren't bad in the first half. They were trying to give a game to Arsenal. Had a good opening few minutes, had a decent chance through Shona and Florentina, but Arsenal crashed the post via Leandro Trossard, and then before half-time, corner. And we will leave that just there, because we are back underway at the Emirates Stadium for this clash in the Premier League. It is Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, and it feels like Arsenal have one hand on the Premier League trophy as of the moment, as we see Vice boots it long from an early free kick straight away in this second half, where they took the lead via a header from Kai Havertz in the first half, which was really poor defending and goalkeeping from Burnley, which was also such a shame. So myself and Luke, who's still alongside me, were really impressed with Burnley at both ends of the pitch at times in the first half. But yeah, complete lapse concentration from the set piece. And Arsenal, well, they did it again from the corner, didn't they? It has been corners and set pieces for them this season, it feels. That's been their thing. And they took advantage of it against a weak Burnley side. As Burnley still went to take this free kick to go long into the Arsenal half. They look long up towards Fleming, who wins the header, knocks it down for Jadon Anthony, looks for a lay off to the left hand side, and it's Perez ball into the box, blocked by Saka. Not a great ball back to Anthony, but he deals with it pretty well. He goes down the line looking to get the better of Mosquera, who has a couple bites at him. He just about gets the ball in the end, and then Saliba can honk it clear. But I guess for Burnley, Luke, maybe the message to their players at halftime will have been, you know what, actually more of the same. Because I think they cause Arsenal quite a few problems at times.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think Arsenal are aware that Burnley are in this game. And at 1-0, they're more than in this game. They will get chances on the counter-attack. Arsenal have looked slightly less secure than usual in midfield, I think it's fair to say, which is understandable given the midfield three they've gone with, and we were both very complimentary the midfield three that Arteta's gone with this evening. But the nature of that midfield is that there are going to be occasions where there is space for the likes of Jadon Anthony and Zian Fleming to try and exploit, and on a couple of occasions they have done so far.
Yeah, and here we see Hannibal Mesri coming forward. He finds Jadon Anthony. Ball to the left-hand side for Perez, who's got an option in the middle of Hannibal. Well, it's been a start to this half a little bit similar to the first, without the set pieces, though. In terms of Burnley starting the more comfortable of the two, seeing the more of the ball. As we now see Esteve, goes all the way back to his goalkeeper, Ugachukwu. You wonder how many of these players they'd maybe keep, Burnley, if they went down. You wonder whether Esteve would move on, even Ugachukwu. You can't imagine him playing in the Championship. Florentino, Zian Fleming, all a few players I expect to potentially move on. As we see Saliba now, goes to the right-hand side for Mosquera. Looks to check back and he finds Declan Rice. 48.5 minutes on the clock. Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Of course, Arsenal had that opening goal via Kai Havertz's head. Of course, they came close on a few occasions before that, even one for Havertz. A bit of a half volley where he scuffed wide. Ødegaard had chances. Trossard crashed the post and Saka almost scored from a cross, and then He had a couple chances from Burnley themselves in the first half. The likes of Shauna and Florentino having efforts not to trouble David Raya, as we now see Ødegaard giving a little bit of a shove from Jadon Anthony. I think Ødegaard gives him some words straight after it, and the referee, as the ball's still in play, just telling Jadon Anthony just to be careful not to be doing that anymore. As you see, Ødegaard goes across to the right hand side for Kai Havertz, who of course rewarded the decision, starting ahead of Gyökeres so far in this one. We now see Ødegaard cuts onto his left boot, thought about a deep cross. He isn't going to do so in the end. He's going to potentially find Bukayo Saka on the right hand side. Saka into Havertz, back to Saka again. Checks onto his left boot. Ødegaard finds Havertz, and Arsenal just trying to dominate in the Burnley half at the moment. And it's nice football from them, but a good challenge in the end from Florentino. And it's Jadon Anthony who can come away with it. And he looked for that ball in behind to Shauna, who could have been away with his pace, but it was well blocked away in the end. But Burnley have it back, and not a bad start to the second half from Burnley.
No, and obviously the result is the result, and the 3 points is all that matters for Arsenal this evening. But I'd be a little bit concerned if I was an Arsenal fan that they've not come out the way that I expected in this second half, and I think the way that they probably should have done, and that was come out with a lot of energy, commit bodies forward, and get the 2 or 3 that they need. Stats just come up on our screen. More than any other team this season, Arsenal have won by 1-0. Which again, ultimately, doesn't matter whether you win 1-0 or 6-0. The end result is still the same. That's 3 points are added onto your league total. But what that does mean is there have been games where they've had to scrape by, and you don't really want to be scraping by at this stage of the season because you're almost tempting fate. And so if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be really trying to get behind my team and say, let's come forward, because mistakes like that can happen.
Yeah, and Eze's just giving the ball to Jadon Anthony, who's on the attack. He hits it from distance. He puts it over the bar. Has he taken the wrong decision to go for goal so early from distance? Well, he holds his hand up of apology. Eberechi Eze. Jadon Anthony did so well to get the better of Saliba, who dived in. I don't think Anthony has to hit it when he does he?
No, I think he can try and loft it in towards Ian Fleming or try and play a pass. If he's going to shoot, he has to shoot then, but I don't think he should shoot. Ultimately, though, it's easy for Barriese just to put his hand up in the air and say, I'm sorry. If that goes in, you've got to do a bit more than just put your hand up and apologise. It's complacency. It's let's sit on the 1-0. Let's be happy on the 1-0. Make no mistake, Burnley have been dreadful this season. There have been a number of teams in the Premier League that have been dreadful this season. And maybe it is the first time in a league season that a team can win the title having, won a number of games just sitting on a 1-0. But I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. I think it'd be daft to tempt fate this evening.
Yeah, exactly that. As Gabriel just wipes out Hannibal Mejbri, maybe something that a few of those Arsenal players have wanted to do this game, and I think probably a lot of players who play against Mejbri, probably a lot of fans would like the opportunity to do that as well. But he's back to his feet. He's the Tunisian, Kyle Walker, the man over this free kick. He's going to loft it long towards Jadon Anthony. He's having his shirt pulled all over by Gabriel. He's done brilliant. Here's Jadon Anthony to come away with it. He goes onto his right foot, whips it, a dangerous ball in, and that is so poor from Zion Fleming, because that is a wicked delivery from Jadon Anthony. He puts it into a great area. It evades everybody out for a throw-in on the far side. Zion Fleming, the cameras linger on him. He has to be darted across. That is a great ball.
Yeah, it is fantastic. I mean, Burnley have had this issue all evening, and to be honest with you, it's probably been a problem all season because they've been so poor defensively. They haven't committed anywhere near enough bodies forward to cause enough teams issues and therefore score enough goals as well. And that's another example of it there. Yes, Zion Fleming should get in a dangerous area, but there's nobody up there to complement him, and that's a problem. But yeah, really, really poor from the Burnley strikers. Arsenal looking to try and get their first attack of the second half. Havertz chip ball into the box, deflected, and half cleared away by Burnley.
Yeah, as you now see Havertz back with it again on the right. He finds Declan Rice. He wants a more simple pass, and he finds Mosquera, who opens it up, whips a ball in, and there's Eze with a volley. It's a good save from Vice in the end, or did it come off the crossbar? I think a goal kick has been given in the end. I thought Vice saved it. A goal kick has been given. We'll see it back once again. It's a nice cutback from Mosquera to find Eze, maybe it does ricochet off the crossbar only. We're going to see an even better angle here. Maybe it just evades the fingertips.
I think it takes both. I think it touches the fingertips of Max Weiss and hits the crossbar as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I was right. I wasn't going to say.
So you can see why Eze wanted the corner. I think the corner was the best he could hope for in that situation. He catches the volley horribly, it has to be said. It's off the back end of his instep into the ground. And it's not a brilliant effort at all from Ebere Eze, but better from Arsenal, looking to try and attack Burnley rather than just sit off. Credit where credit's due to the Clarets, who were in blue this evening. They've looked better going forward in this second half, but still, you know that Arsenal are going to continue to pose that threat and have the quality to punish you down the other end.
You now see Saliba to the right-hand side for Martin Ødegaard, who has options ahead, but he's going to go backwards to Gabriel. 54 minutes on the clock. It is still Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, which is a dangerous scoreline for the Gunners, of course. We now see Trossard in possession. He plays it across to the right for Declan Rice. And Declan Rice on the ball finds Calafiori. Across for Trossard again. He's going to look to scoop it in behind. It's a good ball for Havertz, who's going to get there. Hooks it across for Eze with a header. He's claiming for handball. It comes off the back of Esteve, should I say. And what a chance that is again.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't even think he's appealing for handball. I think it's just a hand up in frustration. Really great from Kai Havertz. That's what he offers. The Victor Gyökeres doesn't. That extra bit of quality when creating an opportunity. And he's on his way down as he heads it. Ebere Eze. I think ultimately it would have been difficult to beat Esteve in that position just because the Frenchman is so well positioned to make it difficult. But yeah, Arsenal all of a sudden exploiting the space. Burnley had to go for it in the second half, and they are sending bodies forward, more bodies than they were in that first half, but it is also opening up the space along the back line. And you feel, I don't want to say it's a matter of time till Arsenal get another, but there is certainly more goals in this for Arsenal.
Yeah, it feels so, doesn't it? It definitely feels that way so far, as we see in possession once again. Ball on the right-hand side. 10 shots for Arsenal so far to Burnley's 4. As you now see Florentino hooks it to the left-hand side. And Jadon Anthony, bad communication with Lucas Pires, just takes it off of his teammate. Hannibal had to get that spot on, and he does. It's a good challenge. And Jadon Anthony's on the attack. He's got an overlapping run of Pires. He's going himself. Anthony cuts onto his right foot. He's still going on his own. Slows it down completely. What a chance that could have been. Walker hangs it into the area. Fleming falls over. What a chance that could have been for Burnley on the counter-attack. And Jadon Anthony just caught in two minds. What a waste.
Yeah. Huge waste for Burnley. It has to be said. I thought he did the right thing, carrying it forward. Potentially he didn't get the run he wanted. I'll break off because Burnley have won the ball back. Here they come.
Yeah, and here's Hannibal, who hits it from distance, and that is just woeful. That is terrible from Hannibal Mejbri. What a chance on the edge of the box, and he launches it so far over the bar. He's missed two good chances now today.
Yeah, he's got to play onto the right-hand side, hasn't he, for Jadon Anthony. There's not often, I think, that me and you, Kieran, could compare to Premier League footballers, but I would fancy myself to at least get that a little bit closer to the crossbar than Hannibal on that occasion. It has to be said. Yeah, going back to that Jadon Anthony chance, I think he does the right thing driving towards the penalty area, but I think you've either got to pull the trigger or you've got to try and play the pass. You can't cut back on yourself. It takes a chance away. One thing I would say is that ball came in from Walker. I think this season might be the end of blades on the soul of football boots, because I've never seen players slip over more in football matches than I have this season. Fleming there, I fancied up against Gabriel with that ball in from Walker and fell over it right at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. And the ball just skids off the turf ahead of Calafiori and out for a Burnley goal kick. So out of play once again. It's Ødegaard trying to scoop it. He's seen a lot of the ball today, hasn't he? Martin Ødegaard. It feels like he's controlled the tempo a little bit like he did when he came off the bench against West Ham. Of course, that dramatic game that I covered at the London Stadium. Cameras linger on the Burnley skipper, Kyle Walker, who, like we mentioned, probably received a few messages in the build-up to this game from former teammates and coaching staff. The clearance from the Burnley keeper is a poor one. He gives the possession straight back to Saliba. And now it's going to be Mosquera, who turns away from his man, finds a backwards ball for Gabriel, who almost sold Declan Rice a little bit short. They get away with it. Declan Rice with a touch to the left-hand side. 58.5 minutes on the clock. If you are just tuning in, Arsenal 1, Burnley 0, which would put them 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League, with 1 game remaining for them and 2 left for Manchester City. And there is growing news through this game that this season might be the end of Pep Guardiola's tenure without confirmation. There's a lot of high reports going around about it. It's Florentino's just brought it down his man and gives Arsenal a free kick. And I guess Arsenal just need to regain control a little bit.
Yeah, they do. I think control's the best way of putting it. They were in control in that first half. They've been anything but in this second. And it's odd because normally you'd say they're not in control because they're throwing bodies forward and Burnley there on the counter-attack, but they're not really doing anything at the moment. And I've just got to say that here they come now. Saka with the effort at the near post into the side netting.
Yeah, and he was offside anyway, Bukayo Saka, so wouldn't have counted even if he was to find the back of the net. I actually think the offside's against Kai Havertz in the build-up. Yeah, it is, because Havertz was definitely offside and Bukayo Saka was definitely not in that sense. As we now see the goal kick taken, it's going to be sent long. The Arsenal fans watching on, a couple of them yawning. Maybe not too impressed. They won't care as long as they get the victory in the end. They're probably all very nervous because 1-0 is a scoreline that maybe isn't the most calming for them, you could say.
That, I think, has been the problem for Arsenal all season. I've said this time and time again. You know, they've been pundits all season that have gone, well, the fans have got to support the team. They've got to really get behind. They can't be nervous. But the too many times this season, the Arsenal players and the Arsenal coaching staff haven't given the fans a reason to not be nervous. You know, it's been scraping wins. It's been relying on set pieces. It's been getting lucky decisions from officials, and that's been the problem. And yes, the fans at the end of the season will, you know, not care, and rightly so, how they won the league, just that they won the league. But I do think in the back of some of their minds they'll be thinking, we could have won this league at a canter had we played the stuff that we could. They're not helping themselves, put it that way. I think is the best way of putting it.
You now see Declan Rice in possession, goes across to William Saliba. On the hour mark of this one, it is Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Martin Odegaard driving forwards. He finds a pass towards Kai Havertz. Pires turns away, and now it's going to be with Esteve. Clears it down the line, looking for Fleming, who gets there first, but his touch goes out of play for a throw-in. And Odegaard just trying to rile up that Arsenal crowd as they're well and truly getting on top of this game again. A little bit similar trend to what we saw in the first half. As there's a late challenge from Jadon Anthony. The free kick has been given. It was given late by the referee, but Mosquera, who's been in the wars over the last maybe 10 minutes or so, wins a free kick in a good crossing position.
Been mightily impressed with Christian Mosquera this evening. It has to be said. He's always felt to me one of those players who isn't great at defending and then isn't great going forward either. But it is easy to forget he's naturally been a centre-half for the last couple of years of his career. Since signing for Arsenal, he's been deployed, particularly in the second half of the season, more as a right-back where he's been needed. And I actually think this evening he's been excellent going forward in that sort of supportive role. You're not going to ask him to whip in cross after cross, but if he can make the run behind and distract a defender, that's great. And then defensively as well, he has done well to deal with Jadon Anthony as best as possible. As he might look to try and get on the end of this free kick.
Yeah, free kick whipped in by Declan Rice towards the front post. Back heel from Calafiori, cleared away by Fleming. Not out of his penalty area yet though. Calafiori takes a bad touch, cleared by Esteve, and Sharuna brings it down for Jadon Anthony. They could have gone on the break, but they've given them a free kick instead because of an offside in the build-up. I thought they maybe could have just let it play on with Burnley on the counter-attack. And some fans get frustrated because Burnley tried to take the free kick nowhere near where the offside was, as we see Vice ready to take this free kick. 63 minutes on the clock. Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Of course, Burnley coming into this game 2 points above bottom of the league. They've only ever beat Arsenal in the league once, drawing 4 and losing 14. And that victory coming in 2020 a 1-0 victory with an own goal from Aubameyang, which is slightly random. You don't see that very often, as we now see Pires ball into the area for Shaunu, who takes a really poor touch. Declan Rice steps in with a vital challenge, and once again, that could have been a great chance for Burnley. Hannibal's moaning about something. I'm not really too sure why, but what a poor touch from Shaunu.
Yeah, they just don't have that quality in the final third, do they, Burnley? I mean, if you look at teams down at the bottom, I was going to say around them, but there's not really too many teams around Burnley because of the points difference. But, you know, West Ham in that situation, you've got a Somerville, a Bowen, who could bring that ball under control and get a shot off. Nottingham Forest, a Gibbs White or a Hudson Odoi, Spurs, a Xavi Simmons, a Kolo Muani. Burnley just ultimately in too many positions on the field just don't really have anybody with that real quality who can do something to get you stood up and go, oh wow, like that is really a good bit of football. I'm not saying they're bad footballers, but there's nobody that stands out to me. There's nobody who can grab a game by a scruff of the neck and go, yeah, I'm going to pull us through this. It's just all a bit reliant on the system and everybody playing really well. And it just, in this day and age, you can't get away with that anymore.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, since I mentioned the news about Pep Guardiola maybe 10 minutes ago, two of the biggest football news outlets are individuals have since said that they're expecting him to leave as well. That is huge news, isn't it, for the Premier League? I mean, one of, if not the greatest Premier League manager of all time will be departing in the summer, it seems, as we see Kyle Walker down the right-hand side. I'm sure Walker will have a lot of good things to say about Guardiola. Hannibal goes down, nothing given, and a ball down the line that goes into the path of Tuan Zebe. But, I mean, that news could be massive for Arsenal for the years to come.
It certainly could be. I think it's a huge, if it is the case, and if Pep Guardiola is indeed leaving Manchester City at the end of the season, I think it'll send shockwaves, not just through the Premier League, but through world football as well. I know a lot of people will take it as, well, what happened with Manchester City? Obviously one of the biggest and best teams in world football, but I think what a number of people will think, and what my first thought was where does Pep Guardiola go next? Is this him done in management? Does he maybe, I was going to say, does he return back to Barcelona? But no, because Hansi Flick has been phenomenal there. Does he maybe take over an international management? I've never seen him as an international manager, but maybe, you know, the last couple of years at Manchester City has taught him to adapt to that sort of style of football. We will have to wait and see, but it is absolutely massive. And I think if you're an Arsenal fan, I think if you're a fan of Manchester United, I think if you're a fan of Liverpool, you should look at it and go, this is potentially huge, because it is a team that have stopped a number of teams winning league titles losing their magic effectively, I would argue.
Yeah, that's a poor challenge from Kai Havertz, who's going to go into the book. Yeah, how fun would it be, though, if we saw an El Clasico next season of Jose up against Pep Guardiola, back where it all really started? That would be fun, wouldn't it, to potentially watch? But yeah, Hansi Flick doing a great job at Barcelona.
He's just signed a new contract this week, hasn't he?
Never going to be on the cards. That's more of just football fans would love to see it, wouldn't they, in that sense? But 6-7 minutes on the clock in this one. Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Got a little bit flat, hasn't it, over the last few minutes this game, which probably suits Arsenal more in the sense of just getting this result.
Yeah, it certainly does. I think the thing is, the longer it goes on at 0-0, I would argue the more that Burnley have got, are in this, to be honest. Tell you what, that is not a good tackle at all. When you see it on the replay from Kai Havertz, he's in trouble here.
Yeah,
I think he might be off.
He's got to go.
He's got to go for that. That is an absolutely disgraceful challenge from Kai Havertz. He's going to be off here, and Arsenal will be down to 10.
And yeah, I'm not going to say this lightly. What on earth is he thinking? I mean, that is moronic and idiotic to a new level of football, because, I mean, he's almost the hero in this game. He's almost the man that's essentially won Arsenal a Premier League title. He needed it because he had an absolute disaster class at the Etihad recently, didn't he? So he needed a big moment today. He got it. He's got to be sent off. If there's a world in where he doesn't get sent off, then VAR needs to be scrapped, because he's gone right through the back of his man.
I think they've waved this away here. I think he's gotten away.
There's no way.
That's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. That is, I mean, he has gone. We're not talking down the Achilles here, or the side of the ankle. We're into the back of his calf. That is honestly. Do you know what? I don't blame Paul Tierney for not making that decision. If you don't have a good angle in it, we didn't have a great angle in it first. So he's just gone through the back of him. That's a red card. I tell you what, the Arsenal coaching staff knew straight away. Gabriel Heinze immediately looked to Mikel Arteta and was making the substitution gesture as if so we're going to have to ready someone here. I cannot believe he has not been sent off. That I genuinely think we've seen some shocking decisions. We saw a shocking decision yesterday in the Manchester United-Nottingham Forest game. That is up there with honestly one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in football.
Yeah, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. I'm honestly baffled. How on earth is that not a red card for Kai Havertz? There's going to be a change for Burnley. Zeki Amdouni is going to be coming on, and he's going to be coming on for Hannibal Mejbri. So a more forward-thinking change. 69.5 minutes on the clock. We've reached the halfway stage of this second half. I mean, that is disgusting. I do not understand. If you're a Man City fan watching this, you are raging.
Yep.
You are seriously raging. Wow. He's not been sent off. It'll be Luke to take you through to full time. 1-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah, cheers, Kieran. Nice moment for Zeki Amdouni. He's had a torrid time with injuries recently, hasn't he? Prior to the last two games against Aston Villa and Leeds, where he's played a combined 25 minutes. He hadn't featured since the 11th of June 2025. So good to see him back playing football, the Swiss international. And so he's on now for Hannibal. It also looked like Josh Laurent was getting ready to come on. Indeed he is. He comes on to replace Leslie Ugochukwu, who can probably feel pretty aggrieved that after being completely wiped out by Kai Havertz, hasn't seen the man sent off. Interestingly enough, Victor Gyökeres and Piero Hincapié are both getting ready to come on. Not surprising that from Mikel Arteta, it has to be said. Maybe a third was getting ready. I couldn't quite make out who it was, but there is potentially a third Arsenal sub on the way. Certainly two. You'd expect Hincapié to come on, probably for Mosquera or Calafiori, at least in the fullback position, and then I'd be very, very shocked not to see Kai Havertz come off, it has to be said. Gabriel Heinze knew straight away that he was in trouble and immediately said to Mikel Arteta, we're going to have to make a change. I'm assuming he was thinking, we're going to have to bring him off just in case anything else happens, or maybe he was suggesting that he's going to be sent off and that we're going to have to make a change because they were going to go down to 10. It'll be a huge talking point. A huge talking point. There is a third change being ready, by the way, for Arsenal. Miles Lewis-Skelly ready to come on. I mean, I'm lost for words, Kieran, I'll be honest. It's obviously going to be Gyökeres for Havertz. You'd expect Lewis-Skelly probably on for Eberechi Eze, and it's Calafiori who's going to come off for Hincapié. And I think that's a sensible decision. Havertz and Calafiori definitely off. Who is it that's coming off for Lewis-Skelly? That's... we're not getting any indication. We're just seeing Hincapié walk on. You'd assume it's Eze, but correct decision from Arteta to make these changes now, I think.
Yeah, probably, and they're good players to bring on as well, aren't they? And what a squad they've built, Arsenal. I mean, they've got depth in every single position. That's what Arteta wanted. They backed him with it. And I guess that message is quite clear. The Arsenal board have done what they can to bring in a Premier League title. They've done their job. It's now on the players. It's now on Mikel Arteta to get it over the line. Because he has got more than a big enough squad to compete. I'm disappointed they didn't compete better in the FA Cup. Because, like I said, they had a squad to do so. Getting knocked out of Southampton by Southampton, it was an embarrassing moment for their season. You can see the squad, and you can see that's why they got to a Carabao Cup final. And, of course, the Champions League final coming up against PSG, which will be a great game, by the way, as well. But yeah, some real talent to bring on.
Yeah, certainly is. You talk about the FA Cup. I think most people would agree with you. It was a slight embarrassment. However, if you said to Arsenal fans, what would you take? A Premier League and a Champions League title, or and losing to Southampton in the FA Cup, or potentially sacrificing one of those competitions for that extra FA Cup run, I think they'd snap your hand off for that defeat against Southampton. Either way, they've won a free kick out of the field here. Zian Fleming's ruffled a few feathers, and do you know what? He's not been great this evening, Zian Fleming, in the final third, but I think he's arguably done his job pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he's frustrating them. I quite like Zian Fleming.
Yeah.
I liked him at Millwall as well. I'd love to see him in a competitive side, a side that are good enough to stay in the Premier League. Maybe a side that, the team's just a bit ahead. How would he do it at West Ham? How would he do it at Leeds United and Nottingham Forest? It'd be really interesting. He's a good player. I'd like to see him stay in the Premier League. I really would. I think he could be more intelligent with his movement. I think that's where you hit a new level as a forward. He's a good finisher. He's real physical. As Declan Rice hammers one out of play for a goal kick. Poor set piece from him, but yeah, I like the Dutchman.
Tell you who I think should probably have a cheeky look at Zian Fleming. I think Everton would do worse than signing a player like Zian Fleming. They've had their forward issues this season, although Beto seems to pop up out of nowhere sometimes and score 4 and 5, and they seem to have solved their problems, but I don't think Tiana Barry is the resolution to their issues up front, and I just think Beto's a little bit streaky, to be brutally honest, and I think Zian Fleming could... Imagine a front two of Beto and Zian Fleming. I mean, it's physical. It would cause some issues for some centre-half pairings. It really would. There's a long ball sent forward towards Leandro Trossard. It's easily picked out by Kyle Walker. There's now a man on the deck. It's Chalner who's on the floor. Off the ball, off our screens as well. So we haven't seen what's happened here. It's Nkapie and Gabriel who were stood over him. Let's have a look here. I'm just trying to make out where it is. Chalner running over towards Nkapie. Oh, there's absolutely nothing.
There's nothing.
Well, that's underwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that Nkapie has got an head-butted shoulder or something. Luke, I'm struggling to watch this game without thinking about that Havertz challenge.
I am as well.
Non-stop. I just had a brief look through social media. The world's shocked. The footballing world watching this game are completely shocked about what they've seen from VAR. It is embarrassing. I mean, they've already had to just issue an apology, like you may have mentioned today, towards Nottingham Forest for that goal standing from Brian Mbeumo. How did they get so much wrong when they've got hired professionals sat in a room watching it, the replays every single time? I mean, use your brains, you know what's going to happen. How do they look at that challenge and think, right, we're not going to give a red card here, and everyone's going to agree with us? Have they not learnt the trends in football? Have they not learnt what people want to see, what people think should be a thing? They get that much wrong. It should be quite clear what's right or wrong these days for VAR. You got it spot on, Luke. You said, I'm not necessarily that against Paul Tierney not giving it. It's hard for a referee to see that. We never even thought of it, did we, on live view? We never thought, oh my God, he's getting sent off. We had to see the replay. It is dreadful. And it would have changed this game. It would have changed the title race.
And do you know what will frustrate me massively as well is you will have managers come out and complain about it. They voted on it a year ago. It's almost 12 months to the date they voted on it. It's Nkapie played in behind. Was he brought down there by his man? Referee says no. I think that's the correct decision. His shorts certainly were pulled down. He's in no rush to pull them up though. Pierre Nkapie, I'll be honest, that was a little bit odd from the former Bayer Leverkusen man. But it's almost we're coming up to a year now since Wolves proposed that the league should vote on whether whether VAR should be kept or not. And every single team except Wolverhampton Wanderers voted in favour of keeping VAR, and yet week after week we have managers and teams complaining about it. You had your chance.
I don't think that's the problem. I really don't. I think.
But get rid of it if the people in charge can't. But if the people in charge can't use it properly, you have to get rid of it.
But,
if the tools aren't there being used properly,
if people do their jobs wrong and wrong to a point where it's costing other people, they don't deserve to have their job. Any other life of word, you'd just get sacked, wouldn't you? You can't get rid of VAR. You quite simply cannot. That would be ridiculous, in my opinion. You have to get better use out of it. The laws have to change for a lot of rules that they've got. The people, I agree. I don't know who you'd get in as Vice takes a chance up against Gyökeres there, just about gets rid of it. Something's got to change. You almost just don't know what, but you can't get rid of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're going to have a check here to see if there's a foul here on Victor Gyökeres. I don't think there is. It's odd from the German, it has to be said. He lets the ball run, but I think he pokes the ball away before he catches Gyökeres, and he does. I don't think it's a penalty. Arsenal will ask it. Oh, actually, I tell you what, it might actually be. I think Gyökeres gets a touch on the ball before the goalkeeper. Does he? Oh, he's going to...
Keeper gets the ball. He gets the ball as the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what, Kieran? I don't know what is a foul and a penalty and a red card anymore. This is what VAR's done to me. I have no idea. It's certainly risky from Vice. Arteta's not happy with it. He's berating with the fourth official on the sideline. In the greatest respect in the world to Mikel Arteta, I don't think he's in a position to complain about any refereeing decisions this evening after what we've seen. Max Dalman's been sent to go warm up and get ready to come on. You'd assume he's coming on for Bukayo Saka sooner rather than later in preparation for the game on Sunday, that final game of the season. James Ward-Prowse, though, lining up to swing this one in with just over 10 minutes to go at the Emirates. Independent off-tube studio-based commentary. Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. Ward-Prowse floated ball into the penalty area, nowhere near anybody. Easily plucked out the air by David Raya, but there's a foul on Martin Ødegaard either way. And that's going to be a free kick to the Gunners once more. A reminder that there are 2 games available on this service tomorrow evening. One of which with huge implications of the title race, with Manchester City facing Bournemouth. There's also a game with huge implications down the bottom end of the table as well, as Spurs travel to Stamford Bridge to face Chelsea. Reminder of what is needed in that game. For West Ham to stay up, they need effectively Spurs to lose. A draw doesn't mean they're mathematically down, but given they'd need something like an 11-goal swing on the final day of the season to stay up if Spurs draw tomorrow night against Chelsea, you'd say that basically a draw keeps Spurs up. A win mathematically does it, but a point would all but be enough. The camera just pans around the Emirates this evening, showing the faces of some Arsenal fans around the ground. I think it's fair to say they look rather nervous, which is understandable given that it is still just the 1-goal lead that their side has. But they're coming forward here now with Gyökeres, feeding Trossard onto the left. Nkapie attempted ball into the box, is blocked well by Walker, and out of play for a throw-in on the near side. Nkapie, I think, wanted to take it quickly, but there's an Arsenal man left stricken, although they are getting back to their feet now. Nkapie now will take his time over this throw. There's nobody really showing for him, understandable given the state of the game at the moment. Still nobody showing for him. At some point, Portini's got to tell him to hurry up, and eventually the ball's left for Declan Rice, who continues to not be in much rush to take this throw in. Mosquera and Gabriel have gone up from the back to offer from this long throw, although I'm not convinced this is going to be a long throw, and it's not. He's going to play it short to Nkapie. That throw in, by the way, has taken 40 seconds. We cannot have this continue where throw-ins are taken 40 seconds. Burnley will get the ball clear as the cross is eventually swung in by Leandro Trossard. That's another thing that's got to change. I mean,
there's talks about that, isn't there?
There is talks about it where I think FIFA said that it's going to be, they're going to give the throw to the other team if it takes longer than 8 seconds. That feels like it's too short of a time. But 40 seconds for a throw-in, that can't continue. It really can't. And I hate the fact we've gotten to the stage where football was considered quite a simple game 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. We're now at the point where we're getting to a World Cup summer, and we're thinking there's at least 5 changes that are going to be 5 rules that are going to need changing.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? A couple of changes coming up for Burnley. Interesting. Schauner and Esteve have made way for Humphreys. I didn't quite catch the other man.
Jakob Brun-Larsen.
Jakob Brun-Larsen. So a double change for Burnley. Their final real throw of the dice to try and get back in this game. It's gone flat for Burnley, hasn't it? Yeah. I thought they were really good for a good 65 minutes or so. Really good for their standards, for what we expected today. But yeah, it's almost like they've just run out of that steam.
Yeah. It's been the story of their season on a number of occasions. Burnley, they've just ran out of steam right at the end, and you just can't afford to do that at this level. You really can't. Bashir Humphreys, I think, has come on for an injured Maxime Esteve. To be brutally honest, he didn't look in a good way a couple of moments ago. So he's sort of limped off, really, as Gyökeres looks to get goal side of Tuanzebe. He did well initially, but Walker back there in support, and Vice will get clear out of play out of play, away from danger as he almost gave away a corner. Burnley though win the ball back in midfield, as that's a decent looking ball that from Ward-Prowse looking towards Lucas Perez, when Mosquera covers the ground brilliantly and sees the ball out of play for a throw-in over on the far side. It's the pace as well, the difference. I mean, I don't even think Christian Mosquera is that quick, but he's eaten Lucas Perez alive there getting across to that loose ball. That can't be the case at this level.
No, exactly that. We've been impressed with Mosquera, haven't we? In this one so far, he's had a good game. At right back, I was surprised when I covered Arsenal against West Ham last week. When Ben White went off injured, they opted to bring on Zubimendi and put Declan Rice right back for the rest of the first half. That was a real strange one, wasn't it? That was one where it never really made sense. They then brought on Mosquera at half-time, and it all just settled down for them. Once again, I'm not sure that experiment's ever going to happen again. Zubimendi has kind of fallen down the pecking order over the last month or two, hasn't he? Because he's been very poor. He got brought on in that game and brought off with no injury repercussions. So, it was an interesting one last week.
Yeah, Martin Odegaard's got a bit of a problem here. You talk about Zion Fleming and his frustration for Arsenal this evening. Jaden Anthony's played his part as well, without even really doing too much. I said at the start of the game, I said there's a chance that Arsenal are their own worst enemy this evening coming into this one. It looks as though they're going to come away with a victory, but they've not helped themselves at times. I think actually the lack of composure has not been great from the Gunners. It has to be said. Gyökeres though has done brilliantly well, fending off the pressure over on the far side and winning a throw-in, much to the adulation of those in front of him in the Emirates crowd. As the camera pans too, and while the game is going on, not entirely helpful, but the throw-in is taken back to Saliba either way. Now here is Gabriel, decent ball forward looking towards Trossard, loose touch, allows the challenge to come in from Ward-Prowse. Here's Kyle Walker, who, still has time to salvage something for his former employers, but I'm not sure he's quite done the job that Manchester City fans would have been hoping for. Here's Axel Twanzebe for the visitors, stepping towards halfway before feeding James Ward-Prowse. Now here is Kyle Walker, back to Ward-Prowse again inside the centre circle. Bashir Humphreys playing centre half this evening, having spent a lot of the season playing full-back. I'm a big fan of Bashir Humphreys. I think at his young age he certainly has a lot to offer. Just 23 years old, so much to learn, and already someone with a lot of quality. And that's a foul in midfield there as Declan Rice is brought down. Looking for the high five from Lewis Skelly. Didn't get it from the young midfield. Let's have a replay of it now. Yeah, it's Lucas Perez just showing a lack of energy really and bringing down Declan Rice. The legs have just gone for Burnley this evening. Do you know what? They've competed for a reasonable period of time, but it just has all sort of really fallen apart, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, not even necessarily fallen apart.
No, that's probably a bit strong. Yeah, it's died to death.
Yeah, it's more just it's gone quiet. They've just run out. They're against a team top of the Premier League, and they're essentially fighting to not be bottom. And unfortunately for them, I guess the energy levels, the quality levels over the last 10 minutes, probably the actual maybe just switched on nature of both sets of players has shown as well. But yeah, 1-0 is a dangerous score, and we said Arsenal can't really let that run, didn't we? And they have let it run. So you never really know what could happen for the remainder of this one.
Josh Laurent has gone right through the back there of Miles Lewis-Skelly. I mean, he'll turn around and say to Paul Tierney in the Championship, that's not a foul. I'm not even convinced in the Championship that wouldn't be a foul. He's right through the back of the young Arsenal man. And rightly so, Paul Tierney blows for a foul. And again, the camera will pan around the Emirates. More nerve showing. Now, this is one of those occasions where I will defend the pundits who have complained to the Arsenal fans this season. They are pretty comfortable at 1-0 up. They should be getting behind their team a bit more here. So many fans seated, nervy. So many empty seats as well, it is worth saying, given it's the last home game of the season, potential title-winning season, as the initial ball cleared away. Trossard on his left boot. That's a little wild. He catches it well. And that's where the excitement comes from, but always drifting wide of the post in the end out of play for a goal kick. 88 minutes on the clock at the Emirates, independent off-tube studio-based commentary. Arsenal 1, Burnley 0. As things stand, if Bournemouth can do a job on Manchester City tomorrow evening, they will be crowned Premier League champions for the first time in 22 years. But it's not been convincing this evening, it has to be said. I'll tell you what, that's dreadful from Burnley. They're just allowed to Gyökeres to turn and drive towards the penalty. Eventually, enough body gets back. That is embarrassing, that from Burnley. Gyökeres picks the ball up for 5 or 6. I'll break off again because Ødegaard's won the ball back high up. Here's Trossard left-hand side, one-on-one with James Ward-Prowse just inside the penalty. Doesn't fancy to cross into the box. Instead, he'll flick it towards Lewis Skelly. Out of play for a goal kick in the end. An opportunity for Burnley to get the ball back. But Gyökeres picked the ball up there with 5 yards of space. Walker, Ward-Prowse and Tuanzebe just watched him and said, go on mate, just turn, just have a run. We're giving up. They've given up.
It was mainly Walker, in my opinion. He really just didn't have the effort to turn and stay with Victor Gyökeres, who made a mess of it. You don't really back Victor Gyökeres to take that into his stride and really be a man, do you? But Burnley have possession. It's the 89th minute, Luke. I think if we saw a Burnley goal here, it would be one of the biggest goals, if not the biggest goal this season we've seen. Like I said, all it takes is that one mistake or that one fluky chance, and Arsenal will have blown it. We now see them on the attack, Burnley.
Yeah, Zian Fleming stepping forward, challenged brilliantly from behind there by Bukayo Saka, who's been so quiet in this second half, but does the work that's needed for his side there and then. Gyökeres now trying to get the ball down the other end of the field. It's challenged well by Tuanzebe. Weiss now will play it onto the Burnley right for Kyle Walker. Into James Ward-Prowse. I can imagine there's been no more than 5 minutes added on time at the end of this second half.
Well, the VAR check as well for the Kai Havertz chance. It went on for
was it
2.5 minutes, 2 minutes so?
Maybe about 2, but I just think there haven't been a huge number of stoppages in the second half. That's all. We'll obviously wait and see as we tick past the 90th minute. What does the fourth official hold up at the end of this one? How long have Burnley got left? 7 minutes to find themselves an equaliser and do Manchester City a huge favour in the title race. City need them to do them a favour, it has to be said. Here is James Ward-Prowse. Left-hand side for Bashir Humphreys. Down the line for Pires. Pires, ball in, looking towards Fleming. He fouls Raya as he goes up for it. A little bit more stoppage time. Gabriel not happy with Zian Fleming. He's entitled to go for the ball. Tierney, though, will brandish the yellow card for the 27-year-old Dutchman. I mean, it's not great on David Raya, it has to be said. He is entitled to go for the ball, but I'm not quite sure the way he goes in, he's really going for the ball.
Yeah, is it? And it's because he looks at the goalkeeper before he jumps. So he knows exactly what he's doing. He's looking at him. I can't believe he's only had 5 yellow cards this season. He seems like a more, I don't know the word, he's a more get away with it type version of Liam Delap. Liam Delap loves to just absolutely hammer into players, doesn't he? But not as good in front of goal as Zian Fleming. To see some of the Arsenal players sidelined, I would like to think they've missed Yerin Timber. Mosquera's been good, but he's a great right back, isn't he? Yerin Timber, one of the best, if not the best, in the Premier League. So they have definitely missed him at stages. David Rice still down.
Big fan of that jacket Yerin Timber's wearing, I have to say. It is quite nice. We did see Ben White in the stands at the Emirates. Whether he's just not quite made his way down to the side of the pitch yet, we'll wait and see. I mean, we saw Mikel Merino wrapped up in a blanket, so pretty impressed that he's managed to get himself down so sharpishly. There's a couple of changes being ready by Mikel Arteta. It was Martin Zubimendi and Gabriel Martinelli ready to come on sooner rather than later. Leandro Trossard's gone down holding on to his side, so he's going to be one that goes off understandably. And Martinelli on to replace him. Really, really good first half from Leandro Trossard. You mentioned, is he a winger who you could start week in, week out to win you the Premier League? I don't think he is, but I think he's a player that any title aspiring side would be very lucky to have in their ranks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. I mean, the wingers are always a big debate, aren't they, at Arsenal? I think Trossard stepped up. Martinelli, he leaves a lot to be desired, doesn't he? Martinelli, Ødegaard's coming off. I tell you what, credit to him. He gets a lot of stick, does Martin Ødegaard, from just the footballing world in general, doesn't he? For how he's been maybe for the last, maybe even 18 months or so. I think the last 2 games he's put in performances, including this and West Ham. Granted, 2 sides in the bottom 3. That's when you want it. It's been a captain's performance. The one real hammering I've really give Arsenal and Martin Ødegaard is he's not a captain in my opinion. I find it baffling that he wears the armband. But I tell you what, he stepped up, and there have been captain's performances these last 2.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 of the 7 minutes have already been played in inverted commas, because David Raya's only just got us underway now. So you'd expect us to get to probably the 100th minute mark, really, wouldn't you, at this stage? Arsenal do everything they can to try and take the seconds away, as the ball's been put out of play by Burnley on the near side. Hincapié to throw. He'll eventually launch the ball down the line looking towards Gyökeres. He saw about 10 yards there, Pierre Hincapié. Very, very clever from the Ecuadorian. His long ball then sent down the near side by Tuanzebe. He's headed back towards the Burnley back 4 before Walker will hook into the North London sky. Pires will then challenge up against Bukayo Saka, and he's then going to be yellow carded for a high boot, says Paul Tierney, and that'll be a free kick to the home side. Pires not overly happy with the decision. He went flying in there, fully committed to win the ball back. Did Saka stoop low, or did Pires raise high? I mean, I don't think it's a yellow card. I think foul, fair enough, but yellow card seems harsh there.
I don't know, I think it's the boot, isn't it? The boot only just misses his face. The first yellow card of the season for the fullback, that's quite something. Yes, he's not played as much, but
he'll be gutted. He's got one now, though, won't he? Avoided a week's wages fine all season to finally get one on the penultimate game of the season. Declan Rice has been awarded man of the match, by the way. He's ranked first in touches, successful passes, possession won. Do you know what it is? It's one of those where nobody's really stood out, so I think it's hard to really give it to someone.
It's been Ødegaard for me.
I think that's fair enough. I think it's all arbitrary in my eyes. I think you can give it to whoever. I don't think it really matters. I'm not disappointed with Declan Rice getting it. I think maybe you're right. I think maybe Martin Ødegaard did deserve it more, but ultimately it's been a game where there hasn't been a standout performer. It's just been a great performance from the side at the top of the table, a performance that they needed at this stage of the season. It's normally about this time where Arsenal feel it slipping away and fall against sides towards the top end of the table, but they might be about to make it too. Martinelli driving forward. Tell you what, Kyle Walker's still got life in his legs. He's got back brilliantly to defend against the Brazilian. Weak ball forward from Max Weiss. Completely miskicks it as he just goes straight up into the air. Header won by Zubamendi under no real challenge. And Martinelli gets on his bike and get goal side of Kyle Walker. But Walker does brilliantly well to get back at Martinelli and put the challenge in. But as I was saying, it's normally at this time where Arsenal, against sides towards the bottom end of the table. I think back to a few years ago when they fell against Southampton, when they've struggled against Bournemouth. But this evening against Burnley, it's not been vintage Arsenal. It's not a performance that I think Arsene Wenger will be proud of, but it's certainly a performance that these Arsenal fans can hang their hat on come the end of the season and say we got through what could have been a potential banana skin. Yeah. There's still a few minutes left to go, but right now Arsenal are doing what they need to do.
Yeah, I think they're also doing what they do. Arsenal, you said it's not vintage. I certainly think it's trademark. I really do. This season more than ever, just if you can't find a way for the second, they find a way to still gain control. Yep. And that's what they've done. Burnley are on the attack. It's going to be the last chance.
Yeah, Amdouni trying to get away from Gabriel, can't get it under control, and Gabriel sees it out of play for a goal kick. Well, we've got about 10 seconds left to go, the 7 added on. I think there'll be more because of that stoppage for David Raya, getting absolutely flattened by Zian Fleming. Again, plenty of Arsenal fans with head in hands, desperate for the full-time whistle. I do feel a bit bad for Arsenal here, that their last game of the season, the game that they potentially wrap the title up in, is going to be at Selhurst Park and not at the Emirates. But it's the way it goes, I guess, in the end. There are Arsenal fans in tears already celebrating in the crowd, which may be a little bit premature, it has to be said.
Well, I've almost been in tears watching this last 20 minutes because of how little we've seen, so maybe that's why, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a thriller, put it that way, but maybe last roll of the dice for Burnley. Long kick sent forward by Max Weiss, header away by Gabriel, return forward by Ward-Prowse. Mascara unconvincing, will head out of play for a throw-in over on the far side. This will, you'd assume, be last chance for Burnley. Cal Walker over to take the long throw. Body sent forward to get into the penalty area. They are so good at causing problems down the other end of the field, are Arsenal, from these sorts of positions. Can they defend this last one? Throw in, swung in by Walker, headed away by Saliba. Back out to Walker, the ball into the box. Zubamendi with the challenge, and then launch clear by a defender in red. Jakob Brun-Larsen will give chase, but he's under pressure from Gyökeres, and will put that straight out of play for a thrown over on the far side. Arteta telling the fourth official the game's done. It's not. We had 3 minutes waiting for David Raya to get back to his feet. Rice also not happy with the referee. Again, we had 3 minutes waiting for David Raya to get back to his feet. If you're going to complain to anybody, you should probably complain to your goalkeeper for taking so long on the floor. Mikel Arteta's still not happy on the sideline. I mean, I don't think it's going to matter. The ball is down the other end of the field. That's not a great throw from Mascara, but, I mean, that's dreadful from Lucas Perez. He just kicked that straight out of play for another throw-in over on the far side. That's not great from the Brazilian. He's conceded defeat. Arsenal seems to have accepted victory, although they're still desperate for the full-time whistle. Mascara will eventually throw this one in. That's a foul throw over on the far side, and not that I think Paul Tini's likely to play for one at this stage of the game. Mosquera now battling away with Jadon Anthony over on the far side. Can't come away with the ball. So Mosquera will come forward. Lovely feet from him. Tuanzebe, though, will deal with the ball into the box, headed away by Bashir Humphreys. Laurent now down the far side, and Dooney will challenge for it. It's out of play for an Arsenal throw, but there goes the full-time whistle. Elation around the Emirates, because Arsenal have picked up a huge 3 points in their final home game of the season. They're a step closer towards the title race. It's Kai Havertz, the difference maker. His first half header from a Bukayo Saka corner. The difference between the two sides. Should the German have been sent off? Me and Kieran certainly think so later on in the second half. But ultimately, Arsenal will not care one bit. All eyes now on the game between Manchester City and Burnley tomorrow evening. But Arsenal have done their job. Full time in the Emirates. It's Arsenal 1, Burnley 0.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck.